The voice you selected does not support this language. Please click the upper right corner to switch to another voice. City. Her mother Fatima bint Zayda was from a respected lineage as well. From a young age, Khadija was known for her beauty, wisdom, and strong character. Khadija's early life was marked by the loss of both her parents. After their passing, she inherited her father's business and became responsible for its operations. Despite her youth, she proved to be a capable and intelligent businesswoman. She quickly gained a reputation for her fairness and wisdom in her trade dealings. As a widow, Khadija continued to manage her father's business with remarkable success. She built a name for herself not only as a shrewd businesswoman, but also as a woman of great character. Khadija's wealth and status made her one of the most prominent figures in Mecca. Many men sought her hand in marriage, but Khadija remained focused on her work and did not rush into any union. Her name was not only known for her wealth, but also for her generosity. Khadija was well known for her charity, helping those who were less fortunate. She used her wealth to support the poor, orphans, and anyone in need. Her heart was filled with compassion for those suffering, and she did all she could to ease their burdens. At the age of 40, Khadija's life was about to take a significant turn. It was during this time that she would meet the man who would become her partner for life, the Prophet Muhammad. Khadija had heard of Muhammad's character long before their meeting. He was known as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, among the people of Mecca for his honesty, integrity, and fairness in all his dealings. Khadija, impressed by his reputation, decided to hire him to manage a trade caravan to Syria. Muhammad went on this mission and returned with an exceptionally profitable trade deal. His honesty and success in business further impressed Khadija. His ability to conduct business with fairness and integrity stood out to her, and she began to admire him deeply. As time passed, Khadija's respect and admiration for Muhammad grew. She saw in him not just a trustworthy businessman, but also a compassionate and wise person. His actions reflected deep values and a sense of justice that Khadija had long sought in others. His commitment to helping the poor and his strong moral character resonated deeply with her. She began to feel a strong connection to him, not just because of his external qualities, but because of the goodness in his heart. It wasn't long before Khadija decided to take the bold step of proposing marriage to Muhammad. In their society, it was uncommon for women to make such a proposal, but Khadija was a woman of conviction. She was drawn to Muhammad, not just for his qualities as a man, but for his inner strength and the purity of his soul. She believed their union would bring great blessings, and that their shared values could create a strong foundation for a loving and supportive marriage. In her proposal, Khadija expressed her admiration for Muhammad and his noble character. She spoke of his integrity, his wisdom, and the way he treated everyone with kindness and respect. She saw in him a person who could understand her own values, someone who would be a true partner in life. Muhammad, upon receiving the proposal, was deeply touched. He recognized the sincerity of Khadija's words and admired her for her courage in expressing her feelings. He agreed to marry her, and their union became a beautiful example of love, trust, and mutual respect. Their marriage was not just a personal union, but a partnership that would lay the foundation for the future of Islam. The love and support they shared became the cornerstone of Muhammad's mission, and Khadija stood by him through the most challenging times of his life. The marriage of Hazrat Khadija and Prophet Muhammad. The union of Hazrat Khadija and Prophet Muhammad was a monumental one, not only for their lives but for the future of humanity. Their marriage was built on a foundation of mutual respect, trust, and love. For Khadija, it was a decision that would bring her deep joy, knowing she had found someone who shared her values and principles. For Muhammad, it was a partnership that gave him the emotional and spiritual strength he would need for the trials that lay ahead. From the moment they married, Khadija became Muhammad's rock and greatest supporter. She provided him with the security and comfort that many others in his life could not. They were partners in every sense, complementing each other's strengths. Khadija's wisdom, generosity, and understanding of the world made her an invaluable ally. Muhammad found in her not just a wife but a confidant, a source of encouragement, and a person who truly believed in his mission. Their marriage was not just one of companionship but also of shared purpose. Khadija, being a wealthy and respected businesswoman, continued her work in trade, and Muhammad supported her in her efforts. The couple was well known for their integrity and their kindness towards others. Together, they embodied the values of honesty, charity, and respect for all people, regardless of their status in society. Khadija was the first person to believe in Muhammad's message when he received his first revelation from the angel Gabriel. Her unwavering support and trust in him played a crucial role during the early days of Islam. When Muhammad came to her, deeply shaken by the experience of the first revelation, it was Khadija who reassured him. She was the one who comforted him and convinced him that he was indeed chosen for a special mission. Her belief in him never wavered, and her support was crucial to his confidence and strength. Khadija's devotion to her husband went beyond the role of a wife. She became a key figure in the spread of Islam. As the first person to accept the message of Islam, she played a pivotal role in ensuring that Muhammad had the strength to continue his mission despite the challenges. The emotional and financial support she provided helped the Prophet during times when others mocked him and rejected his message. Khadija used her wealth and influence to help spread the word of Islam, offering support to the early Muslims who faced persecution. Their marriage was one of peace and harmony. They shared many happy years together, and their relationship was a model of respect and understanding. Muhammad loved Khadija deeply, and she loved him with all her heart. She was always by his side, whether in times of joy or sorrow. Their home was filled with love and compassion, and it became a sanctuary for Muhammad during the difficult times he faced. Khadija's life was full of grace, but it was also one of hardship. Despite her wealth and status, the early years of Islam brought many challenges. As the message of Islam began to spread, Khadija faced great opposition from the leaders of Mecca. The persecution of Muhammad and the early Muslims intensified, and the couple had to endure much suffering. However, throughout it all, Khadija remained steadfast in her faith and support for her husband. Her resilience during this period was remarkable. As a woman of great stature, she could have easily avoided the hardships faced by the early Muslims, but she chose to stand by her husband and support the cause of Islam. Her actions demonstrated the depth of her commitment to the truth that Muhammad was conveying. Khadija's strength and courage were a source of inspiration for the early Muslims, who looked to her as an example of unwavering faith. The bond between Hazrat Khadija and Prophet Muhammad was one of the deepest and most meaningful relationships in history. It was not just a marriage of convenience or social status, but one based on mutual respect, love, and shared spiritual values. Khadija's unwavering support and belief in the Prophet Muhammad were vital in the early days of Islam, and her role as the first Muslim woman in history remains unmatched. As time went on, the challenges faced by the Muslims only grew more intense. However, throughout the trials, Khadija remained a steadfast companion to her husband. She stood with him, even when the persecution became unbearable. Her unwavering faith in Islam, in the Prophet, and in the mission of spreading the message of God was a testament to her strength and dedication. Though Hazrat Khadija would not live to see the full establishment of Islam, her role in its early success cannot be overstated. She was a crucial part of the foundation upon which the future of Islam would be built. Her legacy lives on in the hearts of Muslims who continue to draw strength from her example of faith, love and perseverance. The persecution and strength of Khadija. As the message of Islam spread, the opposition from the leaders of Mecca grew stronger. The early Muslims, including Prophet Muhammad, faced intense persecution. This was a difficult time, but Hazrat Khadija remained a pillar of strength for the Prophet and the Muslim community. Her unwavering faith in Islam and her unshakable support for her husband were crucial during this period of hardship. The persecution was not limited to verbal attacks. The Muslims were boycotted, and they faced threats to their lives. The Quraysh, the ruling tribe of Mecca, were afraid that the spread of Islam would undermine their power and influence. In their desperation, they tried everything they could to silence the Prophet and prevent his message from reaching others. Khadija, despite her wealth and status, endured the hardships with dignity and courage. The family was forced into a period of social isolation. They were made to live in a valley outside of Mecca, where food and water were scarce. During this time, the Muslims had little to no access to basic necessities. The harsh conditions took a toll on their health, but Khadija remained resolute. Her faith never wavered, and she continued to support the Prophet through every trial. Even in the face of such adversity, Khadija showed unmatched resilience. She provided comfort to her husband, reminding him of the importance of his mission. When others questioned or mocked the Prophet, Khadija was there to reassure him, offering words of encouragement and strength. Her support allowed him to continue his mission without fear, knowing he had a partner who believed in him wholeheartedly. Khadija's generosity also played a significant role during this time. With her wealth, she provided the early Muslims with the resources they needed to survive. Her charitable acts were not only a reflection of her own generosity, but also an example of the spirit of Islam that Muhammad had preached. She used her wealth to help those who were suffering, and in doing so, she became a source of hope for the early Muslim community. As the years passed, the persecution of the Muslims became even more brutal. The Quraysh would not relent, and their tactics became more violent. Yet Khadija never lost faith in the message of Islam. She knew that what they were enduring was a test from Allah, and she trusted that the truth of the message would eventually prevail. Despite her suffering, Khadija continued to carry out her duties as a wife, mother, and supporter of the Prophet. Her role as a mother to their children was also deeply significant. She was a nurturing presence in their home, ensuring that her children grew up with the same sense of righteousness, compassion, and dedication to Islam that she had. Khadija's unwavering commitment to Islam and her husband remained steadfast. Even as her health began to deteriorate, the harsh conditions, combined with the emotional strain, took a toll on her body. As the years of persecution wore on, Khadija's strength began to fade, but her spirit remained unbroken. Her love for the Prophet and her dedication to Islam never wavered. Even in the face of illness. Her illness was a great sorrow to Prophet Muhammad. He had always relied on her strength and support, and now, as she grew weaker, he found it difficult to imagine life without her. Yet Khadija remained calm and at peace. She knew that her time in this world was drawing to a close, but she had no fear. She had lived a life full of purpose, and her faith in Allah was unwavering. In her final days, Khadija expressed her love for the Prophet and her gratitude for their time together. She knew that her contributions to Islam, her support of the Prophet, and her devotion to Allah would never be forgotten. The Prophet was deeply saddened by her impending departure, but took comfort in the fact that she had been a key part of the early days of Islam. When Khadija passed away, it was a devastating loss for the Prophet Muhammad and for the entire Muslim community. The grief was profound, for not only had the Prophet lost his wife, but the Muslims had lost one of their most dedicated supporters. Her death marked the end of an era, but her legacy lived on in the hearts of the Muslims and in the lessons she taught them. Khadija was the first to embrace Islam, the first to support the Prophet in his mission, and the first to make countless sacrifices for the cause of Islam. Her legacy is one of faith, strength, and unwavering support for the truth. She is an example for all Muslims, showing that true devotion to Islam goes beyond words. It is reflected in actions, sacrifices, and a steadfast belief in Allah. The legacy of Hazrat Khadija, the passing of Hazrat Khadija, left an indelible mark on the life of Prophet Muhammad. The loss was not just personal. It was the loss of a spiritual and emotional foundation that had supported him through some of the most challenging times of his life. Khadija had been his unwavering pillar, the first to believe in his mission, and the one who had always stood by him through thick and thin. Her absence was deeply felt, not only by the Prophet, but by the entire Muslim community. For the Prophet, the death of Khadija was a time of great sorrow. He often spoke of her with love and admiration, remembering her support and devotion. The bond between them had been built on mutual respect, love, and shared purpose. Khadija's passing left a void that no one could fill, for she had been the one to provide the Prophet with the comfort and assurance he needed during the early struggles of Islam. Her faith in him had been unwavering, and her actions had spoken louder than any words. Her legacy lived on in the hearts of those who knew her. Khadija had shown the world that a woman's strength could rival that of the most powerful men. She had proven that faith in Allah and dedication to the truth were not limited by gender, status, or wealth. Khadija's actions had set a precedent for future generations, showing that the path to righteousness was not always easy, but always worth the sacrifice. In the years following her death, the Prophet Muhammad continued to speak of her with great reverence. He would often remember her kindness, her wisdom, and the way she had supported him during the most trying times. The Prophet once said, "She believed in me when no one else did. She accepted Islam when people rejected me. And she helped and comforted me when there was no one else to lend me a helping hand." These words reflect the depth of the Prophet's gratitude and love for his first wife. Khadija's legacy was also carried forward by her children. Her daughter Hazrat Fatima would go on to become one of the most revered women in Islam. Fatima's character and actions reflected the values that her mother had instilled in her. She too became a strong supporter of the Prophet, playing an important role in the early days of Islam. Hazrat Ali. The voice you selected does not support this language. Please click the upper right corner to switch to another voice. The bloodline of Hazrat Khadija continued to play a vital role in the history of Islam. Khadija's contribution to Islam is not just limited to her support of the Prophet. Her role as the first person to embrace Islam is one of the greatest honors in Islamic history. She was the first person to accept the message that Prophet Muhammad had received, and her faith set a powerful example for others to follow. Her conversion to Islam was a pivotal moment in the early days of the faith, and it provided Muhammad with the strength to continue his mission. Her financial support of the Prophet and the early Muslim community was also a significant part of her legacy. When the Muslims faced persecution and were forced into the boycott, it was Khadija's wealth that provided the community with the resources they needed to survive. She used her resources to ensure that the Muslims had food, shelter, and protection during their time of hardship. Her charity was not just an act of kindness. It was a testament to her deep faith and her commitment to the cause of Islam. Khadija's legacy also lives on in the lessons that her life taught to the Muslim Ummah. She demonstrated that success in this life is not measured by wealth, status, or power, but by one's faith, character, and commitment to Allah's will. Her life was a constant reminder that the greatest achievements are those that contribute to the well-being of others and to the cause of truth. Khadija's life was a testament to the power of selflessness and devotion to a higher cause. Prophet Muhammad would later marry other women, but none could replace the special place that Khadija held in his heart. She was, in many ways, the foundation upon which his mission was built. Her support, both emotional and material, allowed him to endure the hardships of his prophethood, and her legacy continues to inspire Muslims to this day. Khadija's story serves as a reminder of the strength and importance of women in Islam. She was a leader, a supporter, a mother, and a wife, all in one. Her life showed that women have a vital role to play in the development and spread of Islam. Hazrat Khadija will always be remembered as the first Muslim woman, the first believer in the message of Islam, and the one who stood by the Prophet through thick and thin. Her example continues to inspire generations of Muslims, reminding them of the power of faith, love, and unwavering commitment to Allah's will. The end.